Welcome everyone to another Drink While You Think episode. 2 episodes in a row you've noticed now without my co-conspirator, Mr. Matthew May. But once again, I feel like we just got upgraded. We kicked him out, brought in our good friend Marcus, who I say good friend, but really we were just laughing. We've actually never formally met, but we've been in so many discussion groups, Slack channels, text groups. We feel like we know each other. So this is awesome, man. Appreciate you joining. So welcome, Marcus. Give us a little bit of background on you.
Yeah, man. So I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, and I went to LSU. So a lot of people know LSU. So Louisiana boy, born and raised. I have I guess they say a little small accounting firm in Lafayette. We left. I was a partner at another firm about 7 years, and myself and 3 left to start MireGroup in August.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I've got some good questions about that. Yeah.
So you missed it in that text thread probably before you were on. That was a lot of lamenting from me about, oh God, I need to leave. I need to jump. People encouraging me. Scott Scarano specifically taking it on with, what are you doing? You need to go. And so about August 1st we started that, and it's been great. We got a great, amazing team. The people that bought in, whether you call it my vision or my BS at the old place, came with me, and it's been great. And so
that's awesome.
We're growing. We're having a lot of fun, and we're doing some, we're making mistakes. We're doing some great client work. We're learning. But yeah, it's been awesome.
I like it, man. That's fantastic. I can't wait to dig in on some of that. I've had some questions. I was looking. I knew a little bit about the background. I was looking at the LinkedIn profile. I'm like, oh, I got some good questions to dig in on. Before we get to that, what are you drinking today? What's on tap for you?
All right. So like I told you, I'm at my parents' house in Houston. So this is like my dad's study. Is where he works. And so I was on the way here driving, thinking, I hope they have something. But it's not a Fat Tire.
Oh man,
old classic Fat Tire. It's good.
Those are that's a great poll. I'm going to open up mine while I mention that one. That is, Colorado brew. My parents, who are out in Colorado now, used to bring it back for me and my brothers because you couldn't get it outside of Colorado for a long time. So I've got a huge fondness for Fat Tire. That's a great beer. Today I'm drinking. This is kind of a special one. This is called the Stoneface IPA, and why it's special is a shout out to our buddy Van. Van is the founder of the firm that we acquired back in the fall up in New Hampshire. And I'm actually heading up there next week to spend some time with him. But he sent this down for me because this is a New Hampshire IPA. It says live free, drink craft. I think that's kind of like almost a playoff, I think, their state motto.
Right.
So yeah, I think this is thanks to Van. This is apparently a good IPA. We'll find out. I'm grateful for it, but I'll also be fair in my rating of it. We'll rate them at the end. But hey, man, cheers to you, brother. Glad to have you here. Can't wait to hang and see you in person. So, all right, let's jump into before we get to the firm stuff. Lafayette, Louisiana. Like I'm a guy in the South. I'm in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I know New Orleans. I know Baton Rouge, but I don't know what should folks know about Lafayette.
So Lafayette is, so you're mentioning New Orleans and Baton Rouge. You're on that I-10 corridor, right?
Okay.
So you've got New Orleans, about an hour west is Baton Rouge, about another hour west is Lafayette, and another hour west is Lake Charles. Kind of 4 main cities across I-10. Lafayette, what you would say the claim to fame is, if you think anything Cajun, that's Lafayette.
Yep, that's Lafayette.
That's like the heart of Cajun country. In fact, like I realized this, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I was messing around Ancestry.com, and I realized like I'm part of the group who came. So the Cajuns are the exiles from Nova Scotia, a little bit back history.
Oh, okay.
Exiled from Nova Scotia, settled in Louisiana. I realized I'm part of that group. There were the Acadians. I think the name got bastardized over time to be Cajun.
Oh, interesting.
I'm part of that group. So you hear anything Cajun, that's heart of where I'm from. And then also Amanda Aguilar's from there. So, obviously Amanda,
I do know. That's
where's
right.
she
She is
from?
from there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
It's
Cajun,
funny. Yeah,
Lafayette.
I always thought the heritage was like French, right? 'Cause I always think French, but I guess
Well,
Nova
it still
Scotia. I
is.
didn't know that.
Well, it's French exiles that landed in Nova Scotia, ultimately
Oh,
forced out.
okay.
So yeah, heavy French influence. It's still people that speak like a dialect called Cajun French.
Right.
So when you think Lafayette, you can think Cajun, Mardi Gras, super fun culture. Kind of that laissez le bon temps relay everybody talks about.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's a fun place.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, let's jump over to the firm a bit. And so when
Okay.
I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, you mentioned a little bit of this. It looked to me like, okay, so out of LSU, you went right accounting firm, and it looked like the way I read it was traditional firm for a while, your own thing for a while,
Yep.
traditional firm again, and now back to your own thing. Did I read that right? Is that
That's
the
right.
path?
That's right. Yeah.
Talk me through that. I'm curious. As like you've kind of gone back. I mean, to the traditional model a couple times. Now you're back to doing your own thing.
Yeah, so I would say, it's funny. I was talking to one of the guys that worked for me this morning, and I said, look, I'm kind of in that sweet spot where when I came out of college, the traditional firms were still super old school. So, like, I started in 2005.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, Kenji, like our work papers were paper ledger, where you have a separate column for each number.
Yep.
So I came out of that, and about 28 years old, I remember I'd started to build a little client base. And I will tell you this: the guy that still owns that firm is a mentor of mine. He's great technician. A lot of what we do at MireGroup, I've taken from him. But I just knew, like, I was never settled. I knew I wasn't going to be his partner.
Yeah.
So I basically, we had such a great relationship where he let me build my own practice in his firm, and then go
Huh.
contract with him.
Are
I
you
said, look,
kidding?
I'll
Okay.
stay. Yeah, it's like unheard of. He basically said, look, just stay around, help me with the big clients, do your thing, and I'll pay you, per hour. And my wife is just funny. I still remember this. She goes, you started this deal. You didn't have a plan. I said, I had a plan. I know I didn't work for them. That was the plan. Like, but other than that, I always was entrepreneurial, so I wanted to do my own thing. And so that happened. Did that for about 3 years. And then I merged with a bigger firm. They had some need for a younger partner to kind of come and buy out one of the older partners, and I did that. And that went about 7 years. About 5 years in, which was about 4 years in, about 4 years ago, I kind of discovered Xero. And
Yeah.
that to me was like, I don't know how I got on Xero, and then shortly after met Amanda, or I can't remember. And I
Yeah.
always tell her that I'm like, you kind of helped me get started on this journey, but that's my mind was blown. Like, and I started really pushing hard at the firm. So I was one of 5 partners, pushing hard, like, guys, we got to adopt this. And they were
Yeah.
somewhat interested, and we kind of did it, but we still were like a bunch of sole proprietors, just
Well,
sharing.
yeah.
We had no
Yeah.
shared vision, no leadership. And I just kept I was like, come on. And so when I said the people that left with me, they saw that and shared that vision. So we left in August. It was time. And it's been great. We've been able to put the full force down at all the things we wanted to do, build the firm we
That's
wanted.
awesome.
And
Did
it's
you have
been
any concern? I mean, that's right in the heart of pandemic COVID time. I mean,
great.
what was that like?
Dude, it was like there's no other option. It was run its course. It was over. And I mean, I'm not in a bad way from them. It's just it was time. And I just said, you know what? I've got enough of a client base. Clients need us right now with everything with the PPP and everything. I said, you know what? It was over. Let's go. And it's been the best move.
That's awesome.
And really, I tell this to everybody in that group. I've learned so much from all of y'all. Like, all I did was take the things I knew, add a little bit from this guy and that girl, and add and talk to people, and then here we are. I mean, so you don't, nothing's new really under the sun. You just kind of
It really isn't, right? And I think that's something that if we've talked about it a few times on here, and I've talked about it a million times with other friends and things, but I'm like, if people get anything and take anything of value away from this drink while you think, which there's not a whole lot of that, but the one valuable thing I think people should realize, if you're another fellow accountant who is in a smaller firm, you really should be collaborating and finding a group, finding your community. Like, who are your folks? I mean, there's a lot of tribes of good folks out there. who really do want to help. And all of us, you're exactly right. We've been around for a longer time, but like all of our stuff we've gotten from other folks who've been mentors or inspiration elsewhere. I mean, we're not making anything up. We're just, in certain ways, we weren't constrained by the traditional firm or the big
Right.
firm, and we could kind of do what we want to do. We could just,
Yeah.
we had a little bit more, we were more nimble. So I hope folks, when they see this and hear your story of like, you can do it in a way that's, if you want to do something on your own, there's other firms to help you. I
Yes.
like how you mentioned too, even thinking of some of your older partners and other firms you were at are still mentors, right? And probably people you're still close with in your community. It wasn't necessarily, it doesn't have to be a bad breakup.
No, it's just different vision. For me, like what changed my trajectory was when I got, in terms of that group, is I got on XPAC. And I still laugh with my wife to this day. I'm like, I'm not sure why they put me on. Like, I think at that time I had 20 clients on Xero.
Yeah.
I guess maybe they could see I was passionate, or they wanted somebody from Louisiana. That's all I can think is like they needed to fill some demographic hole.
Amanda was probably out there going, okay, I know you think I'm the only, Cajun who knows Xero.
Right.
There's another, and he needs to be out here. But I'm with you on that. I had that as one of my other things too that I thought was a really interesting thread you and I share. And hearing you describe it too makes me really feel the same way, is that Xero was a really important part of our process of understanding what a modern firm can look like. And that started with, certainly meeting Will Lopez back at one of the first XPACs I ever went to. And then I was also, Xero Cons. Then I got an XPAC. You and I unfortunately did not cross paths. We were on different rotations through XPAC, but I do very much think about that group as, it just kind of, when I got amongst that group, I'm like, oh, here's where my people are, right? Like here's my people. Here's my people. And that just gave me the encouragement and to go forward. So it's cool hearing how, XPAC has continued to be that same place for a lot of, I think a lot of firms like ours. I've told other technology accounting partners, I'm like, and they ask about, what's a good partner program look like? I said, well, again, to me, I'm still going to hold Xero's partner program as the gold standard, because that's where it was such formative period of time. It sounds like it was for you too. So that's awesome.
The text thread that, we talked about earlier that you're on, that started from me, Scott Scarano, Josh Lance, Will Lopez, and Zach Call. We literally, I was sitting in the airport. They were on the rotation going out, and me and Scott were the new guys. And man, I was like, and I'm kidding you, I'm telling you, I'm the least accomplished among all of them, right? I'm just learning, I'm soaking it all in, I'm excited. And I was like, I want to keep in touch with these guys. And I text them in the airport. And from there,
is that right?
That's where it's, yeah. From
that's
there,
and
then we just, and look, and I keep telling the guy who works for me, Quentin, who's amazing. He's awesome. He's 33. He's building a practice, and he loves this stuff. I was like, Quentin, you need your group. You need to find your guys. And so when we're going to go to conferences, I'm going to be like, go find your people, because I'm telling you, they will raise your trajectory.
They're here, and they're just like he is, like Quentin is, or like our staff is. We encourage the same thing, because it's so meaningful to find that community and that group. And it's I've spoken about it a lot on this, but I'm like, I remember I was in Big 6, Big 4 back in the day. And it was the opposite, right? You were out there trying to kick the other firm's teeth in. And all of a sudden, so much so. Then you drop down to this level to where there's lots and lots of small accounting firms, and it's completely opposite. It's so collegial. It's so community-based. So I hope that, Quentin and other staff and teams, hopefully when the world opens back up and so these conferences kick off again, get a chance to kind of do that there. So tell me, okay, so outside, I'll circle back to some more things there. Launching a firm running a firm during the pandemic, it's got to keep you busy. What else keeps you busy in Lafayette? Like what outside of work, what are you doing these days?
What do I do? So I've got 3 kids, and you know this. So your kids' hobbies somewhere become your hobbies, whether that's just being a dad in the stands, keeping the books at a baseball game, or going to basketball games. So a lot with my kids. I've got a 12, a 9, and a 3-year-old. Oldest is a boy, and then 2 girls. And I play. I guess my wife and I. I'm trying to think what we do. We like to drink wine and play tennis. That's kind of,
Drink wine, play tennis, and you got to keep it, like you said, All those kiddos. That sounds super familiar. Super
Yeah.
familiar. Those are great ages too, by the way. Those are mine are teenagers, and they're great ages in a different way too. But those are good ages too, where I don't know if the 12-year-old yet still thinks you're cool, or they've moved over to yet to where like, oh my gosh, mom and dad are not cool, or it's okay. Oh, it's right there.
Borderline. No, he's, my son, I still think I've got some clout with him. But I tell him this all the time. I say, we're on, especially because he likes to like play me in basketball, right? We're big basketball fans. I play a lot. He plays a lot.
Oh, wow.
I say, we're on paths that are like this. And never, once they diverge, never the two shall meet again. Like once you pass me up, it's over. So I'm holding on. I'm still up here. He's still right here. That's all I got.
Love it. I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. So one thing I noticed when I looked at MireGroup is, and actually a bunch of things out there around what you're doing. You talk a lot about total control accounting system.
Yep.
So tell me, I'm curious, what is that? Is that something? Is that like just kind of the way that MireGroup does things? Is that a way that clients or prospects can understand better? What's kind of your thought process behind that?
Yeah, so I will tell you, when we started, my marketing guy, who's like great friend of mine and a very integral part of the success we've had, was listening to me talk passionately about and what's funny is I was a tax guy. Like I came up as a tax guy.
I saw that, yeah.
And now I love systems, software, and efficiency, and I've used the tax as just another tool. But I kept telling him, man, I just see so much need in people to get organized and then get an advisor to help them, then the plan, and there's the stages of it. And he was listening. He came to me and he said, dude, he said, I kind of came up with this concept called total control accounting. He said, it's what you're pitching. He said, you're trying to get people from chaos to control.
Mm.
And then from there, we just kind of fleshed out 9 steps. So like 3 phases, each phase is 3 steps. And really, they're just meant to tell people where they are in this journey and then give them, and for us, it was really to build content around. So it was not stuff we could build video and blog content around, but it also helps to tell people tangibly, look, man, you're right here, like in what we call the shoebox phase. Like you don't have it together, but we can get you here with these actionable steps. So it helps in a sales pitch, in our sales process, to say, this is where you are and this is where you're going. Mm-hmm. And honestly, we're still fleshing it out, but it's been super helpful for us in defining, even as a firm, the work we're doing.
Yeah. I love that. We for years, too long actually, talked about, and my partner talks about this a lot, about the Acuity way. And the intent is very similar of, there needs to be an approach, a way that we come about helping take that chaotic environment into a controllable environment. And so it's taken a long time to kind of get there. But I just love it when, and we're actually far behind you in that case. It's almost, we've gotten too much in our own way to get that kind of launched. I love how y'all are thinking through that, because to me, when accounting professionals can try to plain English a little bit and kind of talk through, and someone can go, oh, I understand. It's not just a bunch of bean counter jargon. Right. I can see where I am in my business and I know what's coming next. I think that's just an awesome, awesome strategy. And I guess it leads into like, it's perfect. It leads into like, in looking at like what you're putting out there, thinking content wise, you kind of go to someone's website and you're like, okay, let me go see what their content or blog looks like, right? And I'm usually used to looking at seeing lots, blog posts or kind of old blog posts and such. And in your case, it's YouTube videos. I see LinkedIn videos. I see Loom videos. I mean, there's tons of video content, podcasting, just stuff I don't really see from most firms. How is that also an influence from that marketing kind of friend of yours, or did you come up with how did this all? There's a lot of video going on, which I think is super exciting and much more approachable.
I'll tell you where I started with video. So I'll go back to the beginning. When I started at LSU, I think this is where it comes from. I started in sports broadcasting. So I wanted to be a sportscaster. Quickly realized that the path to getting to ESPN was probably through Kalamazoo, Michigan, or some random town in Kansas as their weekend reporter making $24,000.
Yep.
And at the same time, I was doing a business minor, and I took an accounting course, and literally the light bulb went off. Okay, so that's kind of that's where I think the video content started. But about 4 years ago, I was working with a friend of mine, and he goes, "Listen, I think you need to go live every day." And I'm never one of these people. I've got some fears, but public speaking and video were never that, like, I hear people say how daunting they are, and I've got my things that I would be worried about. It never was daunting to me.
Yeah.
So I just started putting out live. That's where it started for me. About 4 years ago, I just started going live all the time. And that's how I got Quentin. Quentin found me because he would be sitting, his wife says, he's telling me story all the time. He goes, his wife goes, "Are you watching that accounting guy again?" That's how I met Quentin. Well,
That's amazing.
so then Tyler, my web guy, my marketing guy, was like, "Look, and I knew when I started, I think video is the most approachable thing. It gives your personality comes through." And I keep telling Zach Call, by the way, he needs to watch this. Zach is the most genuine guy. He needs to go on video. But
a wonderful, genuine guy. If people could get a little bit of him and how much that comes through video, we're gonna push him on that.
He needs to watch this. But so anyway, I started doing, and it just video. It kept resonating with people. I kept getting feedback like, "I feel like I could know you. I feel like I could talk to you." On the positive side, like, and so I knew it was working. And then Tyler, when we launched, I said, let's go heavy video. And then this year, and I took this idea from, again, back to there's no new ideas. Josh Lance told me, well, now with every tax return that goes out, we do a Loom video,
Yep.
And the clients are loving it. I think people feel like a little slice of attention in the service world, in a world in ours that has for so long not been great at service. So full circle is, I never was that worried about video. I like doing it, was decent at it, so I was like, and it works,
It does work. And I think that's a message to your point, whether we're calling out Zach or the other one we were talking about beforehand, I was giving grief to is Nicole McKenzie, who does occasional videos, but she always like kind of acts like she's nervous to get on. I'm like, get out there, like, come on, come on. And people really relate to that authentic nature. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be, high def and all the crazy things, but like, you're getting folks out there to take a look at. I think Josh is exactly right. Like looking for ways to incorporate video into services that people have not been accustomed to. And I love that with tax return, because I don't think people always want to schedule meetings with their accountant. They don't always want to talk to them. But like, if they can get a video, an asynchronous video, I mean, my gosh, I think most of the world, many kids did asynchronous learning. So we should be able to do in some ways this with clients, like saying, "Hey, I'm reviewing your tax return right now. I want you to look at this, this, and this thing.
Yeah.
Reach out to me if you have questions. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and just, if you don't have any questions, sign it and let's go." I mean,
this is literally what we say.
That's awesome. See, to me, what a great experience that would be. Like, you think about a small business owner who's been used to stuff and paper folders and sending them and got to do all this rigmarole. And next thing you know, you've got in your inbox showing up from MireGroup, like, "Hey, I actually, someone's reviewing my return with me, giving me a video. I can look at it on my own time when I've got a moment." It's just a great experience. I think that's a great place for us as a profession to start to think through, like, how can we get that? I've loved a lot of your stuff out there, man. It's been
Thank you, man.
Really
yeah, and what's funny is that we did it knowing that Quentin and I, who's like my tax manager, I said, "Look, we're going to be the bottleneck this year, because putting out a video at I said, just know we're setting the catalyst to set this, because we're trying to deliver a great client experience. And I think that's a part of it. And so we're going to figure out like, okay, what does a good video look like? There's maybe a checklist now, like internally, like, so I can hand it to somebody else potentially in the future. But I think it just needs to be our standard in our firm is, hopefully, and we don't do it perfect, we want to give you value, value done conveniently. So for us, that's a video that's in Teamwork. It lives in your Teamwork account. Go get it when you want to.
Awesome. Yeah. We're big Teamwork users here too. So I love to hear other firms who are doing that as well.
Will
it's a game changer. It was almost game changer.
It was almost like you couldn't use it. If you talk to Will, you couldn't not use it.
He is very convincing. And it's probably the exact reason why we use it as well too. You're like, he's just in my ear about it. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll do it. And you're like, oh yeah, this is why we use it.
No, it makes sense. And what's funny about Teamwork is it's not meant for accountants.
It's really not.
No,
it's not. but it's great pricing. It's just a good workflow tool, really good workflow
We
tool.
love it.
It's been very good for us. So, um, before we finish off, we'll get out of bean counter land here, and I'm really glad that you mentioned before some of your interests and things like this, because I was going to ask, because I'm interested in, okay, LSU football. I'm a big football guy. I got to assume you are, especially now hearing this more. Give me your high level on like 2019. Y'all were just world beaters. I mean, just ran through and just destroyed everybody. Joe Burrows, the whole thing. And then 2020, y'all had a little rough go of it. I mean, again, weird football season.
Yeah.
What happened? What are you expecting for 2021? What should we be looking for here? And again, for folks who are not in the South, y'all don't understand.
No.
College football, SEC football. I didn't go to an SEC school. It is a way of life. My wife could care less about football. Before we go to church on Sunday, she'll ask me, "Hey, can you give me a rundown of who won yesterday? Because I need to know like how I talk to folks, whether it's congratulations or, hey, I'm sorry about what happened. That's just part of life." But give me your take on what should we expect from LSU this year?
You know what's funny is that as much as I love LSU football, I really don't have a good sense this year. And as you were talking, I'm thinking, your first question was like, what was 19 and what was 20? I think those years were, we still don't know what the heck we have in Ed Ogeron, right? I mean, we had maybe the best quarterback and offense in college football history, followed up by, what did we go, 5-6 last year?
I think y'all are
that,
around 500, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, to answer your question, I don't know what we have in Ed Ogeron. That's my first thing. But for this year, I think we're probably going to be back kind of in that 9-3, 10-2 mold. I mean, we don't even know who our quarterback's going to be. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I mean, it's I think, and so I was going to say, I think that speaking of Ed Ogeron, which you're right, it's hard to know kind of what you have with him. But here's one thing here's one takeaway I would have. Actually, especially it's probably more relevant for you, Marcus, than for this is me. But I was thinking about as you and I do video and as we are trying to get more people to watch and followers, all that stuff we try to do with video. I think there's a couple things we could maybe learn from old Ed. I mean, I'm trying to. This is going to be terrible. I'm sure I'm going to bastardize this whole thing, but I'm just trying to do. If I were to go on and say, like, send a video out about. Okay, the PPP is an important loan that all small businesses need to use, and you might even give it forgiven. You should sign up and do it. And go Tigers.
Right.
So if we just had a video of us, sorry to the whole world there, and especially LSU fans of my bad at Ogeron, but like maybe, especially a guy in Louisiana, you just need to like do on your videos, just say "Go Tigers" at the end of every sentence, like Ed.
He stays on brand, dude. He stays on. I mean, with that,
he does stay on brand.
Go Tigers every time.
Go Tigers every time. I mean, it's so on brand. But it's just funny now watching any interview with him. Even the interviewer is like, "Go ahead and say it now, Ed. Go ahead and say it.
You know it's coming.
It's gonna be coming." So maybe that's what we need to be doing is doing more Go Tigers. But
right.
Man, I am grateful you came on here. I am so excited with the world opening them up here. I know there's going to be a time where you and I get to kind of hang together. I don't know whether that's what accounting conference coming up, but I know we'll get a chance to do that, or another one of these crazy things that this text group puts together.
I missed that one, but I'm going to AI CPA Engage. Are you going there?
I'm going to see you there. Yeah. Definitely. Oh, that's great, man. That's not that far away this summer. We're going to do Engage. My business partner and I are going to be there. We're actually going to try to do a kind of a cool room to stay in that kind of hopefully like we'll just host and have people come over on a regular basis. So we're going to definitely hang in Vegas, my friend.
We're going to have a blast. And I'll make the next Nashville, Cashdale, whatever. I was in Nashville, but I didn't make Scottsdale, whatever it was called this time.
Yeah, it was great. It was nice. Michael Lee and Blake and Liz and them to kind of host all of us. It was nice that three of them were there. It was nice that apparently I don't think COVID exists in Scottsdale, or at least that's the impression that town gave us was y'all are good. Don't worry about anything else there. But we had a great time. We missed you there, but it'll be great to see you and a bunch of other folks in Vegas.
I'll be there.
Awesome. Well, let's, I'm going to pull up our little rating site here, as we
Okay.
always do on Drink While You Think. We like to try to rate our beers. And let me pull it up, do a little screen share if I can. I've got mine pulled up. And again, I'm going to thank Mr. Van Valentine for sending me this great beer. Again, this is from brewed on the Seacoast. This is the Stoneface Brewing IPA. Getting in the high level range is kind of tough for us. I'm going to give this a good, it's not a traditional New England IPA, but I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. It was great. Thank you, Van, for sending this.
Yeah.
And then we're going to pull up the good old Fat Tire, which is a classic. Oh, there it was. All right, Marcus, what do you think? You got 1 to 5. You can do it in increments of quarter points.
I'm gonna say, okay, this is like this is a big decision here. I'm gonna say 3 3/4. How about 3.75?
Really solid rating. Yeah,
It's solid.
Really
You know, it's a go-to everyday drinking beer.
It's not gonna blow your socks off. Nothing like that. And again, reminder, folks, if you'd like to, I mean, you can certainly check us out on Untapped. Little Drink While You Think. Me and Matthew, what we've been drinking. It's got all of our beers we've had with all of our guests, like Marcus. Marcus, where can folks connect with you? What's the best place for them to learn about you and about MireGroup?
Yeah, best place would be is so I guess a couple ways. Mire, so our website mire.group. That's MIRE.group. LinkedIn, or follow our podcast, which is and our podcast really is geared toward more client driven, but it's a Make It Count podcast.
Well, I'll say one thing I'll say about the podcast, and I'll give a plug to folks. I think is really, really smart you guys did is I love how you're on there as the accountant, but also talking to a small business person.
Yeah.
What a great way to simulate conversations. And I think folks should check it out and listen to it, because that's kind of that when people talk about advisory and things, that's a great example of you just talking to a small business owner, which I've never heard of anybody else doing. So I think that's awesome that y'all are doing that on the Make It Count podcast. So
thank you, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you, dude. Again, cheers. Brother. Looking forward to hanging in Vegas. And folks, don't forget, subscribe to the Make It Count podcast. They're on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
And do it for the same thing for us for Drink While You Think. Come check us out. And we'd love to have you on if anyone else wants to. But again, thanks everyone. We'll catch you next episode.
See you, dude.
See you.